strap in and get ready for After Hours with TC Restani. This is Abigail Harwich, executive producer, welcoming you to the show. And now, TC Restani!
Alrighty, welcome to the After Hours of TC Restani, the podcast, an abbreviated episode. I'm here at the Palatial Podcast Penthouse, and I am here with the one and the only, my longtime close personal friend, CJ, who just signed a deal with Restani Productions to produce and co-produce his own podcast called Retro Rundown. What's going on, CJ?
TC, thanks for having me in.
Well, thank you for coming down here all the way to Restani Productions. What do you think of the place?
Absolutely mind-blowing.
It is
state of the art.
It is state of the art. I'll get pat on the back. Abby, OMG Abby, our executive producer, spares no expense.
Absolutely.
When it comes to professionalism down here at Restani Productions. Now, before you came in here to talk to me at the Palatial Podcast Penthouse, you just partaked in an episode of Clouded Conversations with South Boston Jeff and Quincy Briscoe, affectionately known as the Medicine Man and the Milkman.
And what a mind blow that was. We talked about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, I kind of sat in at the end. I didn't hear the whole gist of it, but I know that is South Boston Jeff's favorite movie of all time, and he showed off his fantastic One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest autograph collection.
Unbelievable.
Now, I know you're a big collector of movie memorabilia and all that fun stuff. You were drooling looking at some of those autographs.
I was. I mean, this is just a feast for the eyes. Unbelievable. I mean, he had some real heavy hitters in there that... I don't think you can even get anymore.
I think you can't duplicate them. Some of them are dead.
That's right.
I mean, the Chief, Nurse Ratched,
yeah.
Joseph Elip. I mean, Danny DeVito is in his 80s.
Right.
Jack Nicholson's in his 80s.
And Nicholson doesn't sign anymore. Jeff mentioned on the podcast that Jack threw the pen in the Mystic River after he signed for him.
Really?
There's a reason for that.
So everybody out there, a collective, you want to have a Sharpie signed by Jack, or touched by Jack Nicholson, you just got to troll the river, I guess.
Well, no. I actually heard Nicholson on the radio say that he didn't want anybody to have his fingerprints on any pens.
Really?
So he throws them out.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we know where it is. We'll find it down there. But it's exciting. We're very excited to have you here on at the Restani Productions. You and I have been friends for almost 5 years now. Isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
And we met in line at a Comic-Con.
That's right.
Waiting for, what was her name again?
Jessica Negri.
The cosplayer.
That's right.
Oh, she was very
beautiful woman.
Unbelievable. That's why we were both waiting in line.
No doubt.
I was like, wait a minute. It said free autographs and free pictures, and I was like, oh, I'm in the line for this. And who was in front of me but you?
That's right.
We started up a conversation after we put our tongues back in our mouth after looking at her.
Right.
And we've been pals ever since. Now, this isn't something we thought about doing a week ago. This has been on the back burner for quite a while now.
Right.
I mean, you were like, I want to do this. I want to do a show. I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Now, give us the 411 on what Retro Rundown is going to all be about.
Well, I started writing articles and publishing them on medium.com and linking them to my Twitter account. And then the more I thought about it, I mean, you know me, I'm trapped in the 80s. I love movies. I love music. I love television shows and, the toys and the collectibles of the era. And I just love talking about them. So I thought that I have a pretty good following on Twitter, that there might be some interest in doing a few shows and seeing where we go.
Unbelievable. And you called me up and said, listen, is this something that Restani Productions can make possible? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of all the stuff you're a fan of.
That's right.
Maybe not as much as the video games.
Right.
I mean, I had an Atari growing up, and I know you're a huge Atari expert. You wrote a book on it and all that other stuff.
That's right.
And you know a lot of people in the Atari industry, or that were back then, I should say.
Right.
And this is what the premise is going to be. Now, this is fantastic. It's going to be you, the Retro Rundown. You're going to have all these people of pop culture from all different walks of life on this program.
We're going to try. Yeah, we're going to try to jump into several different genres and see where that leads us, and go from there. If we garner enough interest, then we'll just keep going with it.
Can you give me? Can you let the cat out of the bag? What's going to be the first episode? Have you thought about that?
I have. I have a few guests that are maybe on a lockdown as a guest. But so for now, I'm going to keep that a secret.
All right, we're just going to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of have a hint. You wouldn't even tell me, which is good. Because I told you. I go, don't let things out of the bag until they're finally definite.
Right.
Nail, set in stone.
That's right.
And I'm going to be part of this program. I'm going to be producing the program. And if you need me as an Ed McMahon on the side, I'll come in and join in.
Fantastic.
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a hard act to follow with South Boston Jeff and Quincy Briscoe.
Yeah. I mean, they're the Emmy Award winners right there.
They're award winning. Let's just put it that way. But unbelievable. Now, where can we find you on social media?
I am at Cardiac Drop.
On Twitter.
On Twitter. That's right. And in Instagram as well.
Okay. And I understand today you launched the Twitter handle for Retro Rundown, and it is at retro_rundown.
That's right.
And of course, you can find, if you follow CJ at Cardiac Drop on Twitter, you'll find all the links there and whatnot. And it's going to be fantastic. Now, I've been reading your articles that you've been posting now for well over a year, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote several of them, and then that was on the heels of me completing my Atari book, which is still unpublished. I'm still looking to get that done. I might have to do that on my own, but
you never know. The sound waves here, we can find a publisher.
So, but yeah, and then basically I started publishing them on medium.com about, I want to say early March of this year.
Yeah.
And, I put them out, try to at least once a week.
Right, and they're fantastic reads. I mean, you go into a lot of depth in these things. You're not just talking about the one you did about the Karate Kid a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
It wasn't like a paragraph, I like the Karate Kid, it's cool. No. This was like a 4 or 5 minute read on there, and you went into real details. On
right.
Now, I have a soft spot for the Karate Kid because
I know you do.
My very first guest on After Hours at T-Shirt Channel, the TV version, was Mr. Miyagi himself, Pat Morita.
The legend himself.
The legend himself. I can say in the record books, I am the last late night talk show he appeared on.
What an accolade to have.
Is. And
nobody can say that but you.
No, I can't. I'm the only person that can say that. And then he dies. But you know what? It was fantastic. If you want to watch, you can go on the YouTube channel and see that. But I'm getting back to this. We're talking about Retro Rundown. Now, out of all the genres, movies, music, video games, which one is your favorite?
See, no. That's why I think this podcast is going to be very successful, because I can't really pinpoint anyone as being my specific favorite. I'm sort of a jack of all trades and a lover of all of them.
Unbelievable. Favorite video game?
Of all time?
Of all time.
See, I hate to choose, but if I was gonna pick one, then I would say, for Atari?
Sure, just Atari. Just go for Atari.
Asteroids.
I loved Asteroids. My 3 favorite games on Atari growing up were Asteroids, Pitfall, and Pac-Man.
There you go. And then I would say second favorite would be Yaz Revenge. And that was developed by a guy that I got to know on Twitter named Howard Warshaw. And he was an original Atari developer back in the 70s. And also the creator of the E.T. video game, which...
Buried somewhere, right?
Yeah, and he felt responsible for the video game crash, but I don't think that
we're not going to put the blame on him.
Was due.
No, I'm going to put the blame on him. It was just a weird time back then.
Right. Modern day game, Last of Us. And I just wrote a piece and published it on medium.com. The Last of Us, it was a very successful HBO show starring Pedro Pascal.
Okay, the Mandalorian himself.
That's right.
Who could be a stunt double for Burt Reynolds.
The man in the helmet.
If they ever want to make a Spanish version of Smoking the Bandit, they got the Bandit already picked out.
And he is such an accomplished actor, too. He's very undervalued in Hollywood, I think.
Well, so is a lot of actors right now because they're on strike.
That's right.
Favorite movie of all time?
Empire Strikes Back.
Of course, Episode 5. Because that movie just resonates to this day. It's.
That's right.
You cannot not love it.
No.
Because it ends on such a downer. And that's what makes it great.
That's right.
It's like, because my favorite of the Back to the Future movies is Back to the Future 2, because it's very dark and it ends on a very down note.
Right.
So all the movies, the second acts are always the best.
I agree.
And of course, let's figure out now your favorite musical genre.
The 80s.
The 80s. There you go. Of course.
Absolutely.
This show is going to be a fantastic hit. Because everybody else, let's be honest, a lot of people follow you on Twitter. You got almost 6,000 followers on Twitter. And they're
very
all
grateful.
And there are a lot of 80s nuts out there that love this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah, it's more than a cult.
No, it's a way of life.
It absolutely is.
And that's going to be happening on Retro Rundown.
That's right.
And you have anything to say? Now, there's a platform here where you're looking for guests.
Yeah, we'd love to have people on that want to talk movies, want to talk pop culture, want to talk music, want to talk video games, all that great stuff of the 80s. There's a lot of collectors out there that I'm friends with on Twitter, and a lot of people that love that era as much as I do and you do. So,
I love it. If I had a time machine, I would go back to January 1st, 1980, live the entire decade until December 31st, 1989, and go back again.
That's right. And we know where one of the DeLoreans is.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
in
we've sat in it.
Massachusetts. We did. And so we might have to get that car and hit them all parking lot and take that bitch up to 88 miles an hour.
That's right. You're going to see some serious shit.
That's right.
It's going to be unbelievable. I can't wait for this. So once again, give us your 411 and how we can find you on social media for the people who are listening for the very first time. Okay,
great. Yeah. So I'm on Twitter at Cardiac Drop, and the Retro Rundown is retro_rundown. And you can hit me up in direct message or send me a tweet or a personal message if you want to be on the show, if you want to talk about the 1980s or something that you're interested in and we can fit it in. I'd be glad to take a look at that and see if we can get you on the show as a guest.
Unbelievable. And of course, all that information is in the description box underneath this video right now on YouTube.
That's right.
So anyone who wants to hook you up on there, his name is CJ. He's a master of pop culture, and this podcast is going to be awesome. And guess what? It's not just his podcast, it's your podcast.
That's right.
We're looking for people to be spotlighted on this show. A lot of people do podcasts and they just keep it in-house.
Right.
It's like, this is my podcast. I'm an expert. I'm going to talk about this. And then that becomes boring after a while.
It does. I think, exactly. I think that the more colorful guests we have on this show, the more fun people will have listening.
Now, you just survived, like I said, casual conversations with South Boston Jeff and Quincy Briscoe.
I did.
If you can survive that, you can survive anything on a podcast, my friend.
That's true.
It is 100% true. I sat in and you were smiling. Your grin was from all over the place. You were having a good time.
I was having a blast.
And I told you when we talked about this off air, podcasting is fun.
If
you think of it as a job, it ain't fun.
Right.
All right. This is about having a lot of fun, shooting the shit about what you are interested in and what your friends all around the world are interested in.
That's right.
So I think that's why this is going to be a fantastic show.
I hope so. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it, and I want to, thank you for, having me down and in the studio and producing the podcast for me.
Unbelievable. The ink is not even dry on the contract.
It's soaking wet.
It's soaking. I'm looking at it right now. It's fantastic, and there's no escaping this contract right now. I'm sorry.
I'm locked in.
Once you're in for life.
Locked.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot. On our podcast that I recorded last night with Ricky Bittman, South Boston Jeff, and Quincy Briscoe, a fan asked us this question, and I'm going to ask you this question because I know
I'm coming in cold here.
You have the same sense of humor as I do, and I want to get your reaction from this.
All right.
A fan out there who wants to remain nameless because he's married, okay? Ask me this question. He goes, TC, if you could have any female celebrity fart in your cereal, who would it be?
Well, I want to remain a gentleman, of course, but I have an 80s crush, and you know who she is.
I know who it is.
She follows me on Twitter, and I've loved her ever since the days of Baywatch, Erica Eleniak.
Oh, the girl from E.T.
That's right.
Were you jealous as a little boy when she got the smackaroo from, on Elliot?
Insanely jealous.
Just think of it. And years later, she was popping out a cake for Steven Seagal.
Listen, I'm a huge Hoff fan, but I tuned into that show. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I tuned into that show for her.
Of course. And I've met her many times. She's a very, very, very nice girl.
She's extremely, really nice.
So who knows?
I have not met her personally, but I know you have.
Right, I have. So it's like a Kevin Bacon thing going on here.
That's
6th
right.
degree of Kevin Bacon, 6th degree of Erica Eleniak.
That's right. So Erica, if you're listening and you want to be on the show, I would love to talk to you. I'm your number one fan.
Okay, so you still haven't answered the question of the fan. Is that the person you want in your Fruit Loops?
Listen, I love Erica Eleniak. We'll leave it there.
Well, unbelievable. I love that answer because you are a true gentleman, and I'm going to be tuning into all these programs, especially Retro Rundown. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And like I said, It's everybody out there's podcast. We want them on as guests, and you can follow the description underneath this video on how to get in contact with this unbelievable human being right here, my longtime close personal friend, CJ at Cardiac Drop. The name of the show, once again, is Retro Rundown, produced by Restani Productions. Any final words, CJ?
Yeah, I'm just really excited going into this, and there's a lot of colorful, excellent people that are on social media, on YouTube. We want you to enjoy this show as much as we're going to have enjoyment in putting it forth for you to listen to. And if you want to be a guest, hit me up.
I can't wait.
Me either.
Unbelievable. We know him. We love him. CJ is going to be
TC.
It's going to be one of the greatest podcasts in the history of podcasting. The Retro Rundown, produced by Restani Productions. I'm TC Restani, and this is After Hours with TC Restani, the podcast, and we never close.